Some musicians are heard while others are felt. Before the horns lifted the room, before the vocals soared into the stratosphere, before Earth, Wind, and Fire became a global phenomenon, there was a bass line holding everything together. It was solid, unmoving, and unshakable. This is the story of a Chicago soul pioneer, a founding force behind Earth, Wind, and Fire, and one of the most important bass players you probably never heard enough about. The centerpiece of today's video is all about Louis Satterfield. Now before we start, let's be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and push that notification bell to be sure you won't miss out on any more uploads. Now without further ado, let's cue that intro. Satterfield was born on April 3rd, 1937 in Shaw, Mississippi to Whit P. Satterfield and Lily Parker. Satterfield grew up in the rural Mississippi Delta during the Jim Crow era. The Delta area was known as the cradle of the blues music, which provided the community with musical traditions such as blues, gospel, and spirituals, which found its way into local churches, juke joints, and everyday life in the 30s and 40s. These influences rooted in the area African American cultural legacy that was provided a fundamental environment for rising talent such as Satterfield prior to his family moving to Chicago in his early teens during the 50s. Following his family relocation from Mississippi to Chicago, Louis was fascinated with the city's musical environment during his formative years, building upon the gospel and blues influences from his southern childhood. He developed his skills on bass and trombone during his youth. In the late 50s, while attending Chicago Crane Junior College, he formed a student jazz band that was named the Jazzmans that included Charles Handy and Don Myrick. While attending this school, he met Maurice White, who he convinced to join them. The group secured regular section work at Chess Records. As a session musician for Chess Records, he provided the iconic bass line for Fontella Bass' 1965 hit Rescue Me. His role on the song extended to him playing on her album, The New Look. He also worked with blues legends, including Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, and B.B. King. This further cemented his presence in Chicago soul output. His involvement in other Chicago blues and soul projects including James Cotton, which further developed his reputation as a versatile session player. These sections taught him precision, consistency, and how to support singers without ever overstepping them. Session players in Chicago didn't really get a lot of fame, but they got respect. The Jazzmen's collaboration and live concerts with Phil Coran, who went on to form the Pharaohs. In 1971, the band recorded their first album, The Awakening, that was followed by In the Basement in 1972. Satterfield also played on recordings by other artists such as Ramsey Lewis, Donny Hathaway, The Emotions, The Dells, The Whispers, and The Gap Band, to mention a few. All of this showcases versatility across genres. After leaving an early incarceration of the Pharaohs, Maurice White went on to start Earth, Wind, and Fire. While at Chess Records, Satterfield was also a teacher to up-and-coming electric bassists, most notably being the teacher of Maurice White's younger brother Verdine. The formation of the Phoenix Horns as being the main horn section for Earth, Wind, and Fire, who was originally known as the Earth, Wind, and Fire Horns, they came about in 1975 when Maurice White wanted to expand the band's sound to include more horns. At first, the horn section included Satterfield, Don Myrick, and Michael Harris. They started off touring with the band in 1975, and they played on all of Earth, Wind, and Fire albums from the years of 1975 until 1983. Satterfield and Verdine White wrote a book playing the bass guitar in 1978. In the Earth, Wind, and Fire early years, Louis' bass was the spine. As horns climbed higher, and rhythms became more layered, his lines stayed grounded. That balance allowed Earth, Wind & Fire to grow without ever losing cohesion. His playing adds rich brass arrangements to hits like Shining Star and September. Satterfield trombone work was essential to the band's signature horn punches, delivering punchy, rhythmic accents that propelled their funk soul anthems. These performances not only amplified the band's chart-topping singles, but it also cemented the horns as a core element for their orchestrated funk arrangements. As an integral ensemble member, Satterfield transitioned from a Chicago session player roots to a touring mainstay with Earth, Wind & Fire, supporting the group through its peak commercial success until 1983. He participated in extensive global tours, showcasing the band's live powers. His influence helped shape the band's horn-driven funk aesthetic, contributing to more than a dozen albums during this era and earning the group multiple Grammy nominations and awards. Following his departure from Earth, Wind & Fire in 1983, Satterfield continued to draw on his experience with the Phoenix Horns for high-profile guest appearances. The Phoenix Horns' tenure has solidified Satterfield's reputation for being versatile in the horn sections in pop and rock. In the 90s, after the Phoenix Horns disbanded around 1991, Satterfield returned to his Chicago roots, immersing himself in jazz and blues circles through section work with local and national acts. Satterfield also pursued educational efforts, mentoring aspiring bassists and sharing his techniques through private lessons and co-authorship. His solo output remained sparse with no major independent releases in the 80s or 90s. Although he provided uncredited bass and trombone contributions to various Chicago-based recordings into the early 2000s, his work tapered off due to health issues, but he remained active in local sessions until 2004, when, on September 27, 2004, Satterfield sadly passed away at the age of 67. He left behind a legacy as an unsung architect of Chicago's vibrant music scene, and being a key figure in the fusion of jazz improvisation with commercial R&B and funk. Louis Satterfield never needed recognition to matter, because every time Earth, Wind & Fire lifted off, someone had to keep the ground solid, and it was him. The foundation doesn't shout, it doesn't shine. But without it, everything collapsed. And that's why Louis Satterfield remains one of the most important bass players in soul and funk history. Now, before we go, I have a question for you all. What is your favorite song by Earth, Wind & Fire? Or your favorite song that Louis Satterfield played on? While I have y'all here, if you would like to support the channel further, then feel free to become a member. By doing so, you help make these videos possible. I thank each and every one of you who supported me along this journey.